RJ Harvey may be the running back one, and Tyreek Hill may be out for the season. We'll talk about it all, but first, let's go ahead and let's discuss the worst thing that's happened in 2025. There have been a lot of bad things to happen this year. A lot of good things, but a lot of bad things. There is nothing worse. This goes beyond sports. This goes beyond life. This is just a general statement. There is nothing worse than what is happening with the Cincinnati Bengals right this second. I would do anything I could. I would pay half of Kirk Cousins' salary for him to go to Cincinnati so T. Higgins can start doing something. I would pay half of Jameis Winston's salary so they send Jameis over to Cincy. I know the Bengals owner is cheap, but please do not make us watch this again. Please. Jake Browning looks like the worst quarterback in the NFL. Not his fault, right? Nobody has high expectations. The only thing that we would possibly hope for with Jake Browning is that he's able to elevate, he's able to just keep Higgins alive, keep Chase alive, keep Chase Brown alive. There are only 3 players in this offense. They're all very good. Get him the ball, and that's it. He can't do it. So we have to update the rankings. We have to nuke these fools. I had Jamar Chase, wide receiver 3, coming into this. How can I look you in the eye, and how could I possibly have Chase over Jefferson at this point? How could I have him over JSN? How could I have him over Lamb? I'm moving Jamar Chase down to wide receiver 6 in our rest of season ranks. He's in the same tier with Rome Odunze, Drake London, Nico Collins, CeeDee Lamb. Going over and looking at what he did in this game, he had 8 targets. They tried their best to get him involved, but 5 receptions, 23 receiving yards. I know it's a tough matchup, but who cares? Going over and looking at what we have with T. Higgins. T. Higgins also has to fall. I don't know where we had T. Higgins coming into this. I had him wide receiver 27. I have T. Higgins in the flock league. It is hard to answer this truthfully because it is so bad. But if I was offered Michael Pittman Jr. for T. Higgins right now, I would rather have Pittman. T. Higgins at the very minimum, we have to move down to like wide receiver 35. Right here with Terry. You know what? F it. I'd rather have Waddle with the Tyreek injury. Who am I kidding? Am I going to sit here and pretend that I would rather have freaking T. Higgins over Jaylen Waddle at this point? So T. Higgins is going to be moved down to a high-end wide receiver 4, our wide receiver 37 in our rest of season rankings. And then Chase Brown. I'm sorry if I told you to start Chase Brown this week. I thought that a lot of people looking at him, I was like, okay, well, he still projects out to be a mid RB2. He's still seeing all the opportunities in this offense, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter if he sees all the opportunities in the offense. It doesn't matter if he touches the ball 13 times and the next running back with opportunities is Samaje Perine with 1. Hey. He has to get nuked as well. He had already been falling. Second straight week of this nonsense. I have Cam Scottaboo on my team. If I was offered Chase Brown for him, I'd laugh. I'd rather have Trevion Henderson. At least the Patriots are good. Henderson's role is going to expand as time goes on. I'd rather have Jordan Mason. Actually, I don't know if I'd rather have Jordan Mason just because Aaron Jones may end up coming back. Obviously, we'll have to look at the Denver backs in just 1 second as well. So we're going to move Chase Brown down to RB24. So you can make an argument, Mason, this isn't enough. Mason, you need to react more than this. Jamar Chase needs to go lower than the wide receiver 6. He needs to go down to tier 4, not tier 3. Here's the hope that I'm holding out for. The Bengals are 2-2. It's not like this is an 0-4 roster that's playing with nothing to gain. This is a team that if they can just split, if they can just win a couple games over the next few months and actually get Joe Burrow back in like week 14, probably not going to happen, right? But a hope and a prayer. They could be a playoff team. They still have 2 wins. So for that reason, I'm hoping, just hoping, maybe it's foolishly so, that they go get a different quarterback. They trade for Kirk Cousins. Jamar Chase is going to move up these rankings. They trade for Kirk Cousins, T. Higgins, Chase Brown. They're all moving up. They trade for Jameis Winston. The wide receivers are flying up these ranks. So I'm not going to move them down to like where they truly would be if like we knew Jake Browning was the true starting quarterback through the rest of the year. Just because, like I said, I'm holding out hope that they eventually look to get somebody else. And I just pulled up this stream on my phone. What the hell are we doing? We got 130 likes on the stream. Go down there, drop a like on this live stream, subscribe to the channel. I'm doing everything we can, live stream and answering fantasy football questions literally every single day until Christmas, trying to hit 300,000 subscribers. Help a brother out. Come on, what are we doing? Now let's move over to Denver. Bo Nix, great game. Bo Nix looked garbage all year long until now. To be fair, it's the Cincinnati Bengals. Arguably, right now, this is the worst team in the league. The Bengals have one of the worst defenses in the league, right? So I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to like just drool all over Bo Nix. I had him ranked QB 10 in our rest of season ranks, in a range of like, oh, okay, well, these are probably the quarterbacks you want to roster two of. If they have a good matchup, you play them. If they have a bad matchup, you play somebody else. After this performance, am I moving Bo Nix up or down? No, he stays where he's at. Expectations were he was going to have a great game against a crappy defense. He had a great game against a crappy defense. Definitely better than him having a bad game against a crappy defense, but not one to overreact. Going over and looking at the running back usage. RJ Harvey was the running back that was in there pretty much the entire fourth quarter. Like RJ Harvey was getting everything in garbage time. So realistically, I would love to come out here and I'd love to say RJ Harvey is ahead of J.K. Dobbins in my rankings in week 5. My week 5 rankings, RJ Harvey is going to be the starter in Denver. That's not the case. J.K. Dobbins is still the running back 1 for the time being. In my week 5 rankings, I will still have J.K. Dobbins ranked ahead of RJ Harvey. But Harvey looks good. Harvey has a receiving role. 5 targets in this. You get the receiving touchdown as well. I almost want to say that we should expect RJ Harvey to be the starter here in the long term. So you clearly wouldn't rank them this way. You clearly wouldn't view them this way if you were a team that's 0-4, 1-3, and you need to prioritize points in the short term. Then you would rather have J.K. Dobbins. They're in the same tier for me. I think Dobbins is the short-term play. Harvey's the long-term. I like Harvey more because I think he has more upside, especially with what he can do as a receiver for the long term. Going over to the wide receivers in this offense, Troy Franklin has 8 targets. He almost had a big play as well, but sadly wasn't able to haul it in. Courtland Sutton is the clear alpha. That doesn't change. Courtland Sutton has 5 receptions, 81 receiving yards, and the receiving touchdown. I mean, if the Cincinnati Bengals could have put up any fight whatsoever, Sutton would have been even better than this. So going over and looking at what we had with the rankings coming in, I had Courtland Sutton in C tier with Pickens, Tet, Adams, Rice, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Igbuka, and Courtland Sutton. You do you when it comes to these ranks. Realistically, I know we got to throw in the towel. We probably need to move A.J. Brown to the bottom of the tier, but I'm not going to move Courtland Sutton up too much just because, again, all these wide receivers are about the same, and I don't think Sutton belongs in B tier. I think he's still a C tier option, which is why we do these in tiers. And, let me show you all this real quick. So let me upload these. We're going to hit publish. And this is on flockfantasy.com. Maybe you all saw the announcement in the Discord. Maybe you watched the video in the stream earlier. So obviously you've seen before that, like, you can go through, if you got the season pass, if you're an annual mother flocker, whatever it is, you can like see my rankings whenever you want, updated tier list view like this. You can see all the stats with them, blah, blah, blah. But what you can actually see now as well is we built it out where you can actually see the tier list that are on YouTube videos always updated on the site. So like here are my wide receiver rankings and tiers on the site itself with the stats overlaid on it. Click on a player, it'll bring up their actual stats from this week. So definitely make sure you're taking advantage of that. If you like seeing the rankings in the tier list format, you're going to click on this button up here that pivots them back and forth. But you do need to have like a specific creator selected if you wanted to view it that way. Okay. But let me move this back over and let's move to our other games. Because we need to update the Garrett Wilson ranking, because Garrett Wilson looks like he is absolutely crushing. Now, also, I think we do need to end up moving Breece Hall up with the Braylon Allen injury. But this is a Jets offense that is doing everything they can to run the ball. You have 28 rush attempts to 27 pass attempts. Now, obviously, some of those were dropbacks that you had Justin Fields scrambling, but newsflash, the receivers don't get points for Justin Fields scrambling. Now, and that's even considering the fact that the Miami Dolphins kind of blew out the Jets. This would have been even a more run-heavy offense if they had the luxury to be. Now, Justin Fields still remains a very quality streaming quarterback. If you wanted him, I'm actually going to be moving Fields up our rankings. I think we moved Justin Fields up into C tier. I think I'd rather have him over Dak Prescott, to be honest. Specifically in 4-point passing touchdown formats where Fields, it falls in the range of QBs that I want to roster 2 of them and I want to play the matchups between them. We're going to have Justin Fields at QB 14. Passing volume's not there, but he's going to run the ball. So does anybody know if we have official word on the Braylon Allen knee injury? Because Braylon Allen goes down. He had the fumble, so you're assuming that Breece was going to get the majority of the work in this game anyway. But if Braylon Allen's going to be missing some time, Breece Hall becomes even more appealing. So I have like Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams, Kenneth Walker, Alvin Kamara, all ahead of Breece Hall in my rankings at the moment. But realistically speaking, if Braylon Allen's missing and Breece is just such a damn good running back. Like big plays in a garbage offense, receiving skill set with a quarterback that doesn't even like to check the ball down. Like in a bad game here, Breece Hall still gives you 16 points. If Braylon Allen's going to miss some time, I have Travis Etienne in the Flock League. I would trade him for Breece Hall. I'd trade Javonte for Breece. I'd trade Kenneth White. Hell, I'd even trade Kamara for Breece. We're going to move Breece Hall up to RB 14 with the injury to Braylon Allen. Then going over and looking at what we have with Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson could have had a massive, massive day. If it wasn't for what you had specifically with the refs taking away a second touchdown from Garrett Wilson, this man would have just gone straight up nuclear. At this point, I think I'm going to be moving Garrett Wilson to the very top of C tier because it doesn't matter the passing volume's not there. Every single week, the passing volume's not there. Whether it's Fields, whether it's Tyrod Taylor, Garrett Wilson's still getting his. The market share numbers are better than anybody in the NFL. You have 8 targets out of 27 potential pass attempts from Justin Fields. So just consistently seeing 35% of his team's opportunities. So Garrett Wilson looks to be a top 12 wide receiver, must start name every single week. And like I said, I mean, if you were just looking at the box score here, it looks good, but it would have been even better if they did not call back that other touchdown that he had. So we'll have Garrett Wilson up here, wide receiver 10 in our rest of season ranks. If it wasn't for this being one of the worst passing offenses in the NFL, you can make an argument that Garrett Wilson would be even much, much higher than this. Now, I guess I kind of forgot. Oh, no, we still need to talk about Miami. Never mind. Dear God. Yeah, this is the tough thing. This is none of this is real exciting. Like, is there anything that was real exciting that happened tonight other than RJ Harvey looking pretty good? Because in my mind, nothing was great tonight. I could be wrong here. Correct me if you think I'm missing something. But what's exciting? I know I didn't forget Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims is a bum. When are you ever going to start Marvin Mims? You putting Marvin Mims in your starting lineup? I know he's going to have random spike weeks. Maybe he's a viable play in best ball. But if you're putting Marvin Mims into your starting lineup, you have serious, serious issues. Let's look at this. Okay. So, Tua, fine game. You played the Jets, right? First win of the year. Congrats. Tua is still not interesting at all in fantasy because he's not going to lead the NFL in passing, while at the same time, he's not going to run the ball whatsoever. If anything, based off the Tyreek injury, I would say that we need to move Tua down, or Tua is already QB 29 in my rankings. There's no way that we move him down. Okay. Devon Achane gets 20 carries. Going to be one of the very few games the Miami Dolphins are able to pretty much have the lead the entire time, win the game, right? So very different game for Devon Achane than usual. You only have 2 targets. You only have 2 receiving yards, but he gets there as a rusher. So Achane kind of showing you that he's going to produce in games where the Dolphins get blown out as a receiver. He's going to be just fine in games in which the Miami Dolphins somehow manage to win. So Devon Achane, we have at RB7. I don't feel like we need to update this ranking whatsoever. Going over to the receivers. So here's my thing. I saw the injury, and I'm going to be honest with you. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I mean, I have a biology degree. Let my girlfriend know that all the time. Or fiance. I apologize. But it's not like I'm going to be able to sit here and tell you like exactly what this dislocated knee means with Tyreek Hill. I saw the injury. I went to my rankings and I moved Tyreek Hill to the very bottom. I said he's done for the year. And then people came out and said, oh no, Tyreek Hill just dislocated his knee. He's not going to be out for the entire season. What? I don't know. My expectation, looking at the injury, I have no idea how he plays again this year. So I want to nuke Tyreek Hill. I want to put him at the very, very bottom of my rankings where he's just an auto drop. For the time being, I don't have him exactly there. I have him at wide receiver 45. So kind of like with the waiver wire options like Wan'Dale Robinson. But I don't know. For whatever reason, Twitter doctors are acting like he's not out for the season. I don't know if they're just trying to get clicks to have people read articles. But I saw it and thought, yeah, everybody in the chat saying that he's done. Okay. Then let me go down and nuke him with Malik Neighbors in that case. So we'll move him right back to the very bottom. And then Jaylen Waddle, I know a lot of people are going to think super exciting here. And don't get me wrong, Jaylen Waddle moves up from this. But Jaylen Waddle's still in a garbage offense. Like, the target volume hasn't been there with Waddle all year. He's had 5 targets, 6 targets, 5 targets, 6 targets. In this one, he has 6 targets as well. If I was looking at Jaylen Waddle, I would rather have him. I think he falls into E tier with all these other wide receivers. So I talked about this in the trade strategy video from last week, if you hadn't had a chance to see. We looked back and we looked at the points per game mark last season from the the wide receiver 20 to the wide receiver 30. And the difference in points per game was like 0.5. So while obviously we're going to continue to update rankings every single day, obviously I'm going to continue to try to be as absolutely accurate as I possibly could. I don't know how to rank any of these guys in tier E. They're all the same. Whether it's Xavier Worthy, Myers, Metcalf, Olave, Pearsall, Evans, Godwin, the big Q, Jaylen Waddle. You can make an argument that Jaylen Waddle should be at 22. You should make an argument that Quentin Johnson should be at 22. You could make an argument that Jacoby Myers could be at 32. You can make an argument that Ricky Pearsall could be at... You pick your poison. I think Waddle's in this tier of guys now. These are all wide receivers that when they're healthy, you want to start them. They're all there as wide receiver 2s in the mix. Tier F, these are like, I don't know, borderline. They're flex plays, essentially. But these options here in tier E, you're pretty much starting them every single week. So you rank them with your personal preference. I'm just going to focus in on trying to get the tiers right. Obviously, we'll tinker with the players inside the tiers as we get more data points and as the season goes on. I think the big thing to focus in on is that Jaylen Waddle does belong at the table now. I would rather have him over Smith. I'd rather have him over Ladd McConkey. Don't think I'd rather have him over Quentin Johnston. Godwin looks like he is back. He had 10 targets this past week. Realistically, we probably got to move the big Q up. Y'all know there's no player I'm rooting on more this year than Quentin Johnston. But the last thing that we probably need to discuss is going to be Mr. Darren Waller. As Darren Waller has 2 receiving touchdowns, and the target should be a little bit easier to come by now that you have no Tyreek Hill. So, realistically, we go through and we look at this. Darren Waller is somebody that I just recorded a video about 5 minutes ago while we were watching the end of that game for the waiver wire options. Darren Waller's in the mix with Strange, Fannin, Njoku, Hawk, Goddard, etc., etc. Darren Waller is a tight end that's been nothing for a very long time other than a wrapper. In this game, he had 3 receptions for 27 receiving yards and 4 targets. So yes, it's exciting that he had a couple touchdowns, but it's not like he's a must-start tight end all of a sudden. And I guess we do need to talk a little bit. I obviously will talk a lot more about Mason Taylor in the waiver wire video that will come out tomorrow. So just make sure you're subscribed and we talk more about Darren Waller and Mason Taylor there in depth. But we will update the rankings and we will get those out. And of course, if Darren Waller comes through this next week, he has 8 targets, 6 receptions, and a receiving touchdown. By all means, he'll continue to climb in these rankings. It's super easy for you to jump up to 13 in this tier. These are all bum tight ends. But I think that's all that we are going to have in this video. I do want to remind y'all that there is the biggest promo that I have ever seen going on right now. This is a limited time thing. I don't exactly know how long it's going to last. I mean, Underdog just reached out to me and they said, hey, we're doing this for now, but don't plan on doing it forever, blah, blah, blah. But I've been with Underdog for 5 seasons. They've been the only sponsor of this channel for 5 years. And they never do anything like this, but they just dropped a new offer where you play $5 and you get $100 in bonus funds. And on top of that as well, you'll get a free pick when you sign up with code FLOCK. The free pick for the game on Thursday will be Brock Purdy, higher or lower half a total yard. And when you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with code FLOCK, you will also be getting free questions that you can ask me in the live streams where we're going to be streaming every single night until Christmas. So you have plenty of opportunities to ask your questions. So if you are interested in maybe going Puka Nacua, higher or lower, 100.5 receiving yards, which is just an insane projection. It shows how good Puka is. What's McCaffrey at? McCaffrey's higher or lower, 59.5 rushing yards, but obviously receiving is where he's going to make his money. You can check that out. Link in the description, link in the comment section. Like I said, you have the biggest promo that I've ever seen since I've been with Underdog for 5 years. Get $100 out of your account after you play your first 5. Plus, on top of that, you'll get the free questions asked me in the live stream. Plus, on top of that, the free Brock Purdy pick more than less than half a total yard. Underdog's available in almost every state, but really appreciate hanging out with me in this. And I'll be live tomorrow to answer your fantasy football questions.